Hello, everyone. Welcome to Celsius 233, your go-to place for fiction book summaries. Today, we will embark on a journey through the Testaments by Margaret Atwood. The Testaments by Margaret Atwood, published in 2019, is the Booker Prize-winning sequel to The Handmaid's Tale. Set 15 years after the original, it unveils the cracks within the oppressive theocracy of Gilead. The story is told through the perspectives of three women whose lives intersect in a powerful resistance against tyranny. Plot summary: Aunt Lydia sits alone in the heart of Gilead, cloaked in her austere authority. The air of power around her is as chilling as it is formidable. She controls the ants, women tasked with indoctrinating girls, enforcing Gilead's draconian laws, and ensuring obedience. Yet behind her composed exterior lies a mind quietly at work against the regime she helped build. In the dim light of her office, she composes a secret manuscript, detailing her rise from a judge in the pre-Gilead era to her reluctant role as one of its architects. Her words are both confession and strategy, a razor-sharp indictment of the system that grants her power while keeping her shackled to its ideals. Far from the halls of power, in a serene yet oppressive household, Agnes Jemima grows up in Gilead's tightly controlled world. Her life is a curated image of virtue and piety, designed by a system that denies her freedom. Agnes is the daughter of a commander, and her future is clearly defined. She is to marry a high-ranking man and produce children, yet her childhood is laced with unease. Beneath the white robes of her daily life, she senses lies. Her mother's strained smiles and the vague whispers about her birth shatter her fragile sense of belonging. When tragedy strikes, Agnes faces a path she cannot abide, an arranged marriage to a man old enough to be her father. At the same time, in Canada, a teenager named Daisy leads a vastly different life. She lives above her adoptive parents' second-hand clothing store, surrounded by chatter about human rights protests and campaigns against Gilead. Daisy views these distant horrors with the nonchalance of youth, convinced that they will never touch her. But when her parents are killed in a violent bombing, Daisy's reality crumbles. Unveiled as baby Nicole, a symbol of hope for the Gilead resistance, her life becomes a race for survival. Smuggled into a secret network known as Mayday, Daisy learns of her true origins and the weight of the expectations placed upon her. She reluctantly agrees to carry out a mission that could destabilize Gilead. Agnes and Daisy's paths converge within the walls of Ardua Hall, the fortress-like headquarters of the ants. Agnes, desperate to escape the suffocating confines of marriage, has agreed to become an ant, a role that offers protection but demands sacrifice. Under Aunt Lydia's mentorship, Agnes begins to see the cracks in Gilead's polished surface. Aunt Lydia introduces her to forbidden texts and whispers of a plan to bring down the system. Daisy, meanwhile, infiltrates Gilead under the guise of a convert seeking refuge. The knowledge of her true identity, a child smuggled out of Gilead years ago, could cost her life if discovered. Within the labyrinth of Ardua Hall, secrets multiply. Aunt Lydia manipulates her fellow ants with a mix of cunning and veiled threats, all while safeguarding her manuscript. The manuscript, she knows, holds the key to toppling Gilead's leaders, exposing their corruption and hypocrisy. Her position has afforded her access to the regime's deepest secrets, evidence of embezzlement, sexual crimes, and the exploitation of the powerless. She prepares her final gambit, ready to unleash chaos when the moment is right. As Daisy adjusts to life in Gilead, Agnes begins to unearth fragments of her own buried past. A revelation shatters her understanding of her identity. She is not the biological daughter of her so-called father. Instead, she is the stolen child of a handmaid. The truth strikes like a thunderbolt, fusing her growing discontent with a simmering resolve. Together with Daisy, whom she discovers is her half-sister, Agnes becomes a crucial part of Aunt Lydia's grand plan. The regime's paranoia grows as whispers of dissent seep into its upper echelons. Daisy and Agnes find themselves at the center of an operation orchestrated by Mayday, with Aunt Lydia as the enigmatic linchpin. A smuggling operation is devised, and the sisters, accompanied by Aunt Lydia's carefully constructed plans, embark on a perilous journey to Canada. Gilead's borders, once impermeable, prove vulnerable under the pressure of resistance. Aunt Lydia's manuscript, timed for release during the sisters' escape, devastates the regime. The revelations within send shockwaves across the globe, fracturing Gilead's hold on its people. Agnes and Daisy cross into Canada, greeted as symbols of hope and freedom. Aunt Lydia, meanwhile, remains behind, her fate ambiguous but her legacy undeniable. The system she once upheld collapses under the weight of its own contradictions, with the voices of its victims rising in defiance. In the end, the cracks in Gilead's foundation widen, and the edifice begins to crumble. The sisters, forever marked by the world they escaped, look to the horizon with cautious hope, bearing witness to the power of truth and resistance. That's all for now. The journey through the Handmaid's Tale series doesn't end here. Check out the rest of the series by Margaret Atwood. You know where to find them. Remember, while our summaries capture the essence, they can never replace the full experience of reading the book. If this summary intrigued you, consider diving into the complete story, buy the book, and immerse yourself in Margaret Atwood's original work. Bye-bye, take care, have fun.